And the Harris-Walz campaign is now taking their message on the road. So how will that enthusiasm translate into actual votes? Host of the 538 Politics podcast, Galen Druke, joins me now for more on that. Galen, convention watchers tend to be committed partisans, right? They already know who they're voting for. So how much do these conventions really matter? Because ultimately, the challenge for these candidates now is to get those undecided voters, the independents, the moderates.
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's two ways to really answer it. Numerically, so first of all, we do see that candidates usually receive a convention bounce somewhere in the range of 2 percentage points in the national polling in increase. And so we'll see if Harris got that, because ultimately there are a lot of people watching. This is one of the biggest audiences that these candidates will get throughout the entire election cycle. You know, another big event being a debate, of course. The other answer, though, to this question is, can Harris set the terms of the conversation surrounding the election, right? Harris gave a speech last night that was in many ways cloaked in patriotism and a pitch to the median voter. Had she given a base speech, that's what we would be talking about today. We would be talking about how it had been partisan and geared towards maybe voters that she'd already locked up. But she is now defining sort of the terms of the conversation about the election going forward, gearing it towards that median voter that you just mentioned.
And Harris has overtaken Trump in 538's national polling average, but most of the battleground states are so close, you would say too close to call. So how does she go on and try to turn those leads overall into actual leads in the states where this election is probably going to be decided?
Yeah, so I should say that according to 538's averages, Harris leads in all the battleground states currently, spare one, which is Georgia. But those leads are within the margin of error, and there's no way that a Democrat could make the pitch that they have this locked up. So here's how you do it. This is a not-so-well-kept secret of politics. Americans don't like the Democratic Party and they don't like the Republican Party. Both political parties are unpopular. And the way that you win elections is by frustrating that partisanship. Pitching to Americans, I'm not just a Democrat, I'm here for everyone. I'm not just a Republican, I'm here for everyone. And one of the ways you do that, you can do that through vibes, you can do that through talking about freedom and joy, as Harris has done. You can also try to demote your unpopular policy positions and maybe even steal some of your opponents' popular policy positions. And so we saw throughout this convention and throughout Harris's campaign so far, Harris sort of breaking with the past on the border, for example. You know, taking the idea of we're not going to tax tips that Trump was pitching, you know, and pitching those.
Like, oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I will promote that too.
That's what Trump did with Social Security and Medicare when he ran in 2016. He said, Democrats have a popular policy on that. I'm going to take it. And so, and the other big part of this is that Democrats have had trouble with working class people sort of since the Obama era. Their polling has declined amongst that group. And, you know, that makes up the majority of voters in these battleground states. The majority of voters across America don't have a four-year college degree. So being able to make that economic pitch to working class people is another big part of it.
All right, interesting. And I know social media is flooded with memes about this election since Vice President Harris became the top of the ticket. So who is behind it, and is that making an impact? Let's take a look at Galen's wrap-up of that.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
What is going on with American politics?
Y'all know how I'm a registered voter? That's very cutesy, very demure.
Are all these memes just for fun and maybe a distraction?
And I said, well, how hard can it be? Boys do it.
Or do they actually signify real political engagement of young voters? And will they make an impact on the election results?
I don't know. These edits are doing it for me. They're doing it for me.
With 2/3 of Gen Z getting their news from social media, what could this mean for the future of political engagement?
These are weird people. These are weird people. These are weird people.
5, 6, 7, 8. C-O-C-O-N-U-T. You think you fell out a tree?
I did not consider myself a political person, but I feel like after this video, I've kind of been thrown into it because of, you know, Kamala's impact. That's kind of how you can appeal to a younger generation, is if you're naturally funny.
So this is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
Drop the beat.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
This was the first time that we kind of delved into this realm of political memes. The moment that Barack Obama won the presidency, I think that's what the moment kind of feels like in a sense.
Again, I think with what we're doing, when you add a good beat behind something, a good melody behind something, they want to dance. They want to dance to the pose.
You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Look what you made me do.
Like, yes, I'm American. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be here in this country. But I feel like sometimes, especially as a woman in America, I don't feel like I'm represented. Definitely living in a conservative state, I have never really been too vocal about it outside of online presences. The memes and the sounds online gave me a way that I can do it because I never felt educated enough to talk about politics, just straight up talk about politics online.
And while it's not as popular as Kamala's Brat Summer, Trump supporters are having fun memeing their own candidate, too.
This new generation, they're actually very unserious, which is great, but also, like, if your memes are funny or, like, edgy, they will flock to you. Trump was great at that in 2016. I think it's the inverse now. It's like looking on social, I'm like, who's smiling more right now? Who feels like the momentum is there? I'm like, it's them.
So a lot of these Kamala memes have been about this sort of rowdy, enthusiastic, feminine vibe. And if the memes sort of help place that more at the center of the media narrative about this election, I think that can be something beneficial to the Kamala campaign. And the other part of it would be the deeper messages that memes hold, which maybe won't convince someone to say, oh, I was going to vote Republican. Now I've seen this dank meme. I'm going to vote for a Democrat. But maybe after you see 1,000, your worldview might shift in a way that kind of shifts your values.
Even if Brat Summer starts to wind down for Harris, Gen Z-led voter advocacy groups like Voters of Tomorrow say the online enthusiasm has already made lasting impacts on the election.
The engagement isn't staying online. It's not. We saw more people sign up to join or start chapters of Voters of Tomorrow in the 48 hours after Vice President Harris announced than in the 2 months before combined.
All right, so let's talk about real impact here. Galen, what do the numbers say about how this all translates? It's one thing to, like, create a good bop and laugh along to all of these things on social, like these posts, react to them. But does this translate to people actually going to the polls and voting?
It's hard to draw a one-to-one relationship, but we do know that Harris has significantly improved Democrats' lot with young voters. So, for example, in 2020, Biden won young voters by about 25 percentage points, and that's how you might expect a Democrat to do with young people. But before he dropped out, Trump had, in many polls, pulled close to even with Biden amongst young voters, right? So that's a double-digit decline for Democrats. Now, with Harris at the top of the ticket, we see that Democrats have gained a lot of that back. A recent August poll in the battleground states showed Harris leading amongst young voters by 32 percentage points. And also in terms of engagement, in the week after Biden dropped out of the race, voter registration, vote.org, clocked 100,000 new voter registrations, and 85% of those were coming from Gen Z and millennials. And Gen Z and millennials make up nearly half. They're expected to make up nearly half of the electorate in 2024. And so, yes, this is all a lot of good fun. And there might not be a one-to-one relationship, but engagement is what it's all about. You can like somebody as much as you want, but you got to show up and actually vote in order for it to make a difference in politics.
Right, but if you're seeing it in the voter registration numbers, then it looks like it is having some kind of a material impact here. I also quickly wanted to ask about star power, because there was so much speculation on social media that Beyonce was going to be there, that Taylor Swift was going to perform last night, that both of them were going to perform last night. Not just on social media. I mean, a lot of people were talking about it. Of course, they didn't. So where did that come from, and how much of an impact does star power have, right? Same question. Do celebrity endorsements and big performances actually translate to votes?
Look, so the internet can be used for many things. It can be used to boost engagement. It's also, of course, used for misinformation, and wild rumors do spread online, and that's exactly what happened last night. It culminated in TMZ actually reporting that Beyonce was going to be performing at the DNC, which of course didn't happen. So rumors can spread quickly in this kind of information environment. When it comes to the question about star power, though, it's difficult to say. So there have been actually rigorous studies done on the impact of Oprah Winfrey's endorsement of Barack Obama in 2008, and the conclusion is that it did make a difference. That was something that voters really paid attention to. and reacted to. You look at Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016, though, and you see she had Beyonce and Jay-Z. She had pretty much every celebrity under the sun endorsing her, and it didn't make the difference. Ultimately, you want to have both. You want to be able to talk to Americans about their daily lives and the things that they are concerned about, and then also build up that enthusiasm to make sure everyone actually turns out to vote. And celebrities can help in that regard.
All right, host of the 538 Politics podcast, Galen Druke. I never thought we'd be looking at memes together, but that was a fun segment. Thanks for that.
Thank you.